what's up with that shirt you're wearing?
Oh, this?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Right there, that one.
People are saying that Christian's on some drugs now.
Man, he looks great. He looks super
phenomenal.
jacked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to kind of keep in mind with this guy. Christian is, I don't even think he's 30 years old yet.
And Jeff is someone I love to talk about because he's proof that, number one, you can gain muscle into your older years. Christian might have not gained 15 pounds of lean body mass. He might have just held on to more lean body mass than he did in his prior prep because the prep was done in a smarter way.
The way he made it sound, it was just like, hey, once your newbie gains are done, it's damn near impossible to ever gain that much size and muscle.
Maybe he's slightly leaner, but you can't really tell because he actually has a little bit more overall muscle mass on him. So it's hard to, body fat percentages and looking at pictures and stuff. It's really hard to know, but he certainly does look bigger.
We see some genetic elites where we're like, yeah, but look at Brown. He's this. Look at this athlete. They're genetic freaks. But for some reason, when it comes to the realm of being able to gain muscle, we look at it like, I should be able to do that after 10 years. Like, I train like him, and in 10 years. No. I'm just trying to. I'm literally channeling the Natty or Not Reddit forums.
Is the person still inspiring?
Because people want to make that correlation. Oh, he's on drugs and he looks like this, but he's not, and he looks almost as good. He's a fake natty liar.
An interesting thing is just as you get older, your muscles start to look a little grainier and a little harder.
We don't actually know how busy he is. Let's just all assume that he is as busy as he explains. I don't think it's too far-fetched just to be like, to tip your hat and be like, dude, I don't know how you're doing it, but you are doing it. Instead of, obviously he's cheating, he's lying.
I look at really dope people that are doing really wild shit that looks like it's impossible, and I think to myself, what the fuck are they doing and how can I take a piece of that? But what most people do, especially within this realm of fitness and bodybuilding, is like, trend.
So we can go around and say our final verdict, natty or not. I'm going to 100% go with he's definitely not natty anymore.
If Christian comes out with a video and says, so I've been on something,
this is how we cover our ass for all the shit we just got done talking.
Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Merrick Health, owned by Derek for More Plates, More Dates. Now, some of you guys are on a fat loss journey, some of you guys are trying to gain muscle, and some of you guys are just trying to optimize yourself and your hormones. That's why Merrick Health is so great, because you can get your blood work done. A lot of us don't know what's going on under the hood as far as our cholesterol, our testosterone, our hormones are concerned, and you need to get that checked multiple times a year. That's why we've partnered with Merrick, and we have something called the PowerProject panel, which has 28 different labs. And if you do get the PowerProject panel, they'll actually be able to partner you up with a patient care coordinator that will go through your labs with you and advise you on what you should do. So, Andrew, how can they get it?
Yeah, you guys got to head over to merrickhealth.com/powerproject. That's MAREK health.com/powerproject. You guys will see the PowerProject panel. And when you guys check out, use promo code PowerProject to save $101 off the entire panel. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. I love spaghetti.
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti and turkey pepperoni.
Meat sauce. Turkey pepperoni.
Mm-hmm.
Is that trying to be healthy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be unathletic and not healthy. And not healthy.
Yeah. That's a good
like nothing Nsima. Damn. Just hit you a little bit later.
Kermit the Frog. Oh man, when Jordan, he just really does sound like Kermit.
A little bit.
A lot of it, bro.
I think it's just a very Canadian accent, right? Yeah.
I'm not even gonna. I want to practice it because it's a fun accent to try to replicate. I'm gonna work on my impressions.
It's like the way he says "not."
Not. I don't know. I can't do it.
And Canadians say "sorry."
Sorry.
Oh yeah, he kept saying sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Some people randomly say sorry, and I'm like, makes me want to punch you.
Oh my god! You really want to resort to violence?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Every once in a while. I forgot a buddy of mine had texted me, and he said,
it's funny.
He said something like, I haven't seen that since grade 11. And I'm like, hey, motherfucker, you grew up in Roseville. Quit talking like that. Like, you are not from the UK. Don't say you're fucking grade 11. Don't say university.
Oh, yeah, university.
Don't say all this shit. I'm like, you grew up in Northern California. You're a piece of shit.
When I was in university.
Like, no. No. You didn't go to university.
The University of the United States.
Hey.
Remember that from Coming to America?
Dog.
They're like,
I
where?
don't.
They're like, what school did you go to? He's like, the university.
Oh, yeah, when he's bullshitting.
Hakeem said that?
Yeah, and the girl like looks at him. She's like, which one? He's like, of the United States. It's something like that. It was hilarious.
Bruh, Eddie Murphy as an African in that movie was the funniest thing because he always just smiled like this.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Non-stop.
Eddie Murphy's the best.
He is.
What the fuck was that movie? Get Them to the Greek. There was this scene where I think it was Seth Rogen. I don't know. There's this UNICEF ad or whatever. And then the guy was like, oh yeah, all I do is the Africa smile. He's like, what's the Africa smile? It's like, you know what the Africa smile is. Shit was so funny.
Oh man, Get Him to
That
the
was
Greek.
such a
That was underrated. Well, not underrated, but it just caught me by surprise. I thought it was going to be a shit movie. I enjoyed it.
It was good, man.
Yeah, good enough.
It's a really good movie.
So
Hey,
anyways.
what's up with that shirt you're wearing?
Oh, this?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
This?
Right there, that one.
Hey, what is that you on there?
No way.
What?
You wear a shirt with yourself on it?
What?
Oh my god.
Oh, that is? I'm such a fucking narcissist.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I wear an article of clothing with? But I'm Andrew. Who's
Yeah.
that guy with the glasses?
I think
Hey, the three of us look great on there.
that should be.
That's you,
It
right?
does look like a lot like me.
Holy shit!
That's crazy.
You got the headphones too.
That guy's buff.
How about
Yeah.
this is veined up dude at the bottom with a? Is that a slingshot and knee sleeves?
No
This
way.
is our Microdose shirt coming soon. Microdose and Fitness.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of it and excited that Melvin just crushed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Melvin Lasso, man. He's the guy who does all of like we have a bunch of
That's
designs.
a great name.
Yeah,
Melvin.
is his last name really Lasso?
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause
to,
that's
so.
fucking sick.
to us it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all that matters. Yeah, I don't know. I got people in my phone with fucked up names.
Melvin's like, that's been my last name this whole time, and you guys haven't known.
Yeah.
But we have Corey Schlesinger up here too, as the Phoenix Sun, who encouraged us to microdose our workouts.
He's also overlooking our fitness, making sure we're not fucking it all up.
Yeah,
Making sure we're doing it the right way.
we tend to go things do a little bit too much sometimes.
So we've had Christian Guzman here in studio years ago, and the dude is a savage.
Yeah.
An absolute beast when it comes to business, when it comes to fitness. Here we go, going for a shot.
Yes. Oh, my! It went right through the wire. Fuck me,
Just
man.
makes you want to consume more mind bullets. So
Just
you
so you can keep shooting it.
keep working on your shot. But yeah, Christian was here and he shared some information with our team and our squad about some business stuff, and it was super informative. And I was very impressed. Like he was doing his own vlogging. Like he kept recording his own shit. Like in between him and I talking, he would be like, "Oh, hold on a second, I gotta shoot this." And I was like, "This fucking guy is so meticulous with this stuff."
Yeah.
And he's been so good over the years with all the YouTube content and stuff. So I've been a huge fan of his for a long time and admired what he's done and love what he's building. And then he builds a gym and builds it. Well, before that, he built a brand, and like now he has like a hotel. Like I'm not sure what's going on over there, but
Alpha
motherfucker's
Land.
been busy.
He's somebody that I reference to anybody who's like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start, this full fitness thing. And they're young because he's the story. He started when he was 16, when YouTube was like in its fucking phase. But like people slowly gravitated to this young kid training in a gym, right? Then a few years later, this young kid who owns his own gym. That a few years later, this man who now owns his fucking own clothing brand, and now but it all started from this small idea that he had in the very beginning. I always reference him to people because I'm just like, start your shit now.
I do not know how to be that cool or that handsome. The pictures that he has, he's got so many Zoolander photos out there of him doing that face with the eyebrow and the sucked in cheeks and everything.
It's kind of a boss move though to like have your clothing line, but then be your model on your website.
he looks great. He fucking makes it work.
Yeah.
But I think if I was trying that, I think people would be like, "What is going on here? What is Mark doing now?"
Yeah, and then the other thing, so like my wife had been following him and his girlfriend for a while.
Yeah.
And, it's like, oh, shit, Christian
Oh,
Guzman's
what's her
coming
name?
in.
I'm sorry.
She owns Buff Bunny.
Heidi
Bunny, right?
something. But yeah, Buff Bunny.
Smoking hot, whatever the case is.
Heidi something. So yeah, he just keeps winning. But when he was coming in, I was just like, man, I don't know what he's going to be like. Hopefully he's cool. And I went home that night and I was just telling my wife, I'm just like, he is as cool as you could ever imagine. Like, he's super nice, has time for everybody. He was fucking awesome. And it's not like I wanted to report like he was like good, he was a douche or anything, but it was just like, you never know. You just never know when you're going to, like, what somebody's going to be like in person as opposed to like a YouTube persona. And he was cool as fuck. Like, he was super nice. And like I said, like, he was just like appreciative of like everyone's time. Yeah. But then he gave us all his time and gave us like a lot of good advice for certain things. And it was just, he was fucking awesome.
I mean, over here, we're just like, we're praising Christian. But, the main thing that's going on is people are saying that Christian's on some drugs now.
Not steroids.
Yeah, well, that's what.
No, not steroids. They think it's the
claims.
drug of hard work, motivation, dedication.
Oh.
Nah, fucking steroids.
Yeah.
It's always a fun topic.
Yeah, it is.
Never gets old.
Fuck, man. He looks great. Like, he looks super jacked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to kind of keep in mind with this guy. Like, Christian is, I don't even think he's 30 years old yet.
No.
Holy shit, man.
So he's like going to turn 30 soon.
Yeah.
So does he have the ability to change things up a bit and hone in and focus on getting a little more jacked? Today we're going to even talk about, is he a lot more jacked? Now, he looks incredible, but these are some great photos, so sometimes lighting and getting lean and certain things can kind of make you look actually bigger when maybe there's been other times in his life where he's been as big, but maybe he doesn't capture as many good photos. I don't know.
Sorry, he looks too diesel and too much like a tank. He looks like he's bleeding Tren out of his veins. No, I'm joking.
Kind of those side. So it's interesting when you see him turn to the side a little bit and he's got that extra kind of thickness front to back, like right there.
Yeah.
I've seen that from a lot of guys that like are bodybuilding on that kind of next level. The accusations make sense. I mean, he looks like he has put on a lot of size and a lot of muscle, and it does make you wonder because he has been at it for a long time. He did previously weigh a certain amount, and now it appears that he may have put on another 10 or 15 pounds, but it's also really hard to truly say because we don't know his weight at all these different given times. The picture that we have up there is from when he's 19 versus I believe it's from when he's 19 to the left there to the current time, and it's like that's definitely not a fair assessment. So we're gonna try to dive into it and figure out what we can figure out.
There's a few aspects that I think people really, because number one, there's a knee-jerk reaction from many people on the internet because they immediately compare themselves and their progress to somebody else. And because they don't have, or they don't look like that person, or they haven't made the progress, they're immediately like, okay, they're on drugs. But Derek and Greg, we're going to pull up Greg's video. Greg was referencing Christian's past prep and past weight and the way he looked versus the way he looks on this prep. There's an angle that I don't think they may be thinking about is, when you cut, if you cut really fast, and if you also there are ways to cut where you will drop weight very quickly, but you'll sacrifice a lot of muscle tissue and you'll drop body fat. A good example is I sent this link to Andrew, but I want you to pull up our homie that we had on the podcast, Jeff Alberts. He's pretty much a 50-year-old natural bodybuilder, and people are already like, oh no, he's on drugs. But when we talk about Jeff, he has a picture of 35 years old versus 48 years old. And Jeff is someone I love to talk about because he's proof that, number one, you can gain muscle into your older years, but also if you're knowledgeable about the way you cut and you give yourself the time you need, you will hold on to more muscle than you were the prior time you were on stage. The photo differences here, I believe, is 156 pounds on the left at 35 years old on stage, and 170 pounds on the right at 48 years old on stage. But one of the bigger differences, too, is he gave himself more time when he cut. So the big thing is not that he necessarily gained a ton of more muscle tissue. The fact is he just managed to hold on to more muscle tissue as he was cutting. And I think that one thing that people miss out on with this is Christian might have not gained 15 pounds of lean body mass. he might have just held on to more lean body mass than he did in his prior prep because the prep was done in a smarter way. And if you've never prepped, you don't really understand that. Greg's definitely prepped, so I understand people are like, oh, Greg's done tons of shows. But I think that could be a big thing that's going on with Christian. I think that could be why he's natty.
It's also like low to no risk just to say that the guy's on it, right?
Yeah.
Like what does it cost? What does it cost Greg Doucette? It just costs.
That's his bread and butter.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah. It just kind of just gets him more views in a way. So it's an interesting thing, and I don't like to accuse people of stuff. Hopefully, Christian Guzman, hopefully he addresses it. I don't think he has addressed it. One thing that is interesting about the natty or not category, and we went through this when we did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, wasn't so much whether people were on them or not. It was whether people were lying about them or not.
Yeah.
And that becomes a totally different thing. You know, there's a lot of sports where, like the UFC, for example. Like in the UFC, you're not supposed to take performance-enhancing drugs. And they do have a list. They have a list. And so when you sign this contract with the UFC, that's part of what you're agreeing to. You're not going to take anything on this list, right? You know? And people might try to skirt around that, and they might take things that are performance-enhancing that aren't on the list, but you agreed to the stuff that's on the list, and you're not supposed to take those things. And so where we get caught up in this kind of weird space is not so much on whether somebody failed a test, didn't fail a test. It's people lying about it. And I think, to me, that's kind of where the cheating side comes in. That's where it's like, yeah, that guy is a cheat. That guy is kind of manipulating me, because he told me flat out that he didn't take them.
Yes.
And then now I'm learning something else. And I thought the physique that this person was showing me was a byproduct of everything that they said, and they left out this whole other subset of things. I mean, just imagine if any one of the three of us, it's a little different than lying. It's more like concealing, but that's not great either.
Yeah.
If you found out like one of our significant others was doing a particular drug. Like we just found out, like just found out today that they've been doing this particular drug for a really long time, and it break your heart in a way. You're like, how come I didn't? We've been together for, you know, we all have different degrees of how long.
Talking about cocaine or something? What are you talking about exactly? Like when you say drug, what do you mean? Just any drug that we just did? Okay.
Our girls are all on Anavar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the context of like what kind of drug matters a lot, right? Yeah. And we would probably notice that there would be behavior and there would be stuff, right? But let's just say that, you know, they were kind of hooked to something and you never knew it. They never shared it with you. Yeah. It'd be really disappointing. Like, why are you hiding this? And kind of same thing here. I think some of these people are people that we put in high value. They're high value assignment people to us because they're in this industry. They're in this community. There's a lot of young people looking up to these people. And if they're hearing one thing and then they find out a complete another, a lot of times they're just super disappointed. They're like, man. And then maybe they just take that whole thing and they distrust just about anything else that's going on. So now I can't believe information coming from this other guy who said he gained 10 pounds. Like that guy, I've seen this story before. I've been burned before. That other guy's on shit. We're never really going to know with half of the people that we see. Yeah. It's going to be really rare that somebody comes out, just like with a politician or something. You're not going to see a politician come out and give it to you straight and say, hey, man, you know what? I made some really big mistakes and I want to apologize. Like, they're not going to do that. They don't do that. And you're not going to see any of these fitness people come out and apologize and say, hey, you know what? I've been on steroids the whole time. Or someone like a John Cena who's been saying he's natural for a long time. A friend of mine, I just got to take certain people's word for it. You want to say you're natural, I'm running with you. I'm good. O'Hearn, doesn't matter who it is. Okay, fine, sounds great. Like, I'm just, because we're not going to ever really know the truth. Yeah. If we're going to test them or not test them or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, we're talking about like kids. Well, it's anybody watching these videos. One thing that like just really like kind of got me, and I'm glad that we brought up, I don't know why his name doesn't stick, natural bodybuilder. Jeff Alberts. Because when Greg Doucette was talking about, you know, like like you're going to get your noob gains, and then after that it's really hard, which I agree, it is very hard once you get to a certain age. But the way he made it sound, it was just like, hey, once your newbie gains are done, like it's like damn near impossible to ever gain that much size and muscle. And with Jeff Alberts, obviously he was able to do it his certain way. And again, I do agree, like it is hard, but I don't want people, like especially people my age, like, cause I got in the gym late. I was like 27 when I got my first gym membership. Had I like heard that, I would have been like, oh, does that mean it's over for me? It's like, no, well, I hadn't quite even got newbie gains yet, because that was day one. But maybe I would have heard like, oh, after you're 26, it's over. And it's like Christian Guzman's not even 30. So it's like, I just, that really caught my attention, you know, and I was just like, I think that message was kind of like, it wasn't the right message, I guess I'll say.
From a mathematical standpoint, you could also technically hold a little bit more body fat sometimes too. Like you could literally have an extra pound of body fat on you, or maybe 2 pounds, in accordance to how much you gained overall. So in the case of like Jeff Alberts, maybe the picture on the left, maybe he's slightly smaller, maybe he's slightly leaner, but you can't really tell because he actually has a little bit more overall muscle mass on him. You know, so it's hard to, you know, body fat percentages and looking at pictures and stuff. It's really hard to know, but he certainly does look bigger on the right. But there's bodybuilders that come into, you know, shows in particular shape, and sometimes they're like, I would have been better off 2 weeks ago when I was actually a little bit bigger. And they might even kind of say, I would have been better off being bigger and a little fatter.
Yeah.
Like, you know, fatter is not really great for like a bodybuilder necessarily, but again, I'm talking about like minimal amounts of fat and larger amounts of muscle.
You know, real quick, I want to say this whole natty or not conversation, I think one of the big issues is the first aspect of people lying. One thing that people like to say as a reason why people should why people that are on drugs are like fake natty liars, blah, 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 making kids think that they can get this big with just training. I get that. I understand it. But I look back at myself when I was younger and I was training. I mean, I looked at physiques. Like I was looking up some guy that I really liked his physique when I was younger. Greg Plitt. And then this other guy, Anton Antipov, his Instagram name was MySue. I remember when I was like 21, I was like, damn, his abs, he's super jacked, blah, blah, blah. I want to look like that. And as I was getting older and gaining size, blah, blah, and I started putting out content, I was like, well, my goal isn't necessarily to like look like these people anymore. My goal is to attain my best physique and my best performance. But I want to use good training principles to do that. I'm not going to look like this person. I'm going to look like the best version of myself. Number one, that is the message that should be sent forward, because I'm thinking about this. One thing that people, for some reason, they can't get their minds to reach here is when we look at, I've brought this up before, but when we look at like a LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or basketball players with great physical abilities, not only are they super tall, but they have this elite level of just jumping strength. If in some weird world, LeBron James started to become an influencer, a basketball influencer, and he's like, hey guys, do these drills and buy my jump program to be able to do this 48-inch fucking vert that I have.
Chris Bell's calf program.
Yeah,
yeah.
But 99% of people who did LeBron's jump program are not going to be able to jump like LeBron. Part of that is the work LeBron put in, and part of that was the fucking athleticism and genetic gifts that LeBron has. For some reason, we're able to understand that genetic gifts are aware in different sports, like basketball, fucking track, all these sports. When we look at the top, we see some genetic elites where we're like, yeah, but look at Brown. He's this. Look at this athlete. They're genetic freaks. But for some reason, when it comes to the realm of being able to gain muscle, we look at it like, I should be able to do that after 10 years. Like I train like him, and in 10 years. No. I'm just trying to. I'm literally channeling the Natty or Not Reddit forums. It's like, perfect. Well, you look at the FFMI calculators. Like, there's no way that somebody can train this long and be this big. That's totally impossible. Look at the calculator.
I saw someone post this video of like, I think that the peak natty physique is Scott Herman. Scott Herman is the peak natty physique that you. This is a good example. This is a good example of a natural physique. But just think about this. What if I said that like the peak level of athleticism that anybody can reach is LeBron James? That'd be fucking ridiculous. We know for a fact we're not going to be as athletic as LeBron James. But for some reason, when we see fitness influencers that look really good, many people think I should be able to do that. And since I can't, they're definitely on drugs. And if I were on drugs, I'd look like this person. Because the reason why people put this reach is because they're doing the damn thing. They're going to the gym and training, and they're training so that they can be a bodybuilder and go on stage or look really jacked. So now they put themselves in the same category as these folks. You wouldn't fucking go out to a basketball court, practice basketball every day, be 6 feet, and expect to be as good as LeBron. But for some reason, you expect to look as good as some of these people who have really good genetics for that. And because you expect that and you know you won't achieve it, you then say they're on drugs. I think that's wild. It's really fucking wild.
There's still a massive genetic component to it.
Yeah.
There always will be. There's some sort of skill set. There's some sort of thing behind it. Whether you want to say that it's a skill or it's hard work or it's a combination of the genetics. We know this. And we do know this from something like people that are gifted with instruments. You know, like a musical instrument. Somebody can just, for some reason, there's a kid that's like 4 that can figure out the piano way the fuck better than we can. It just happens. They got like, they can hear the notes better or something. I don't know what it is. But at that age, we certainly wouldn't be like, well, I wonder what this kid's on.
Yeah.
Like his parents probably have him on Adderall and he probably can really hear the tones differently than everybody else.
Probably.
And I think it's easy to kind of pass the buck off on that. But like if you think about some of these people that we talk about often, is the person still inspiring? What they have, is it still fucking cool?
Yeah.
Is it fake? You know, like if someone has a build or a strength that's because of steroids, is it fake? Or is it still real? Like is John Cena still really jacked, natural or not? Is Michael Hearn still really jacked and strong, natural or not? Now, again, aside from the lying, right? If somebody lies about it, somebody says, I'm natural, and then you later find out something else.
That's not good, though. Like,
that's not good. I understand the disappointment that could happen there, but it's still real. Like you still are moving those weights. You still really are that big. Nick Walker still really is fucking jacked as fuck, right? Like some of these guys that are going to get on stage for the Mr. Olympia, what do we do? So let's say that we do find out Christian Guzman's on stuff. What do? We go down to Alpha Elite and, fucking, what do? You scrap everything. You get rid of his hotel. You strip everything he's ever done. Like, forget all these summer shreds. Forget all the people he's ever inspired. Oh, what about Arnold? Remember that guy was governor? Like we're blacking that out in the history books. You know what I mean? Like
they know.
Yeah.
Like Arnold is like, they know he was on stuff.
Right. They know he's on stuff. Right.
Like it's a given. Yeah. But this is the thing. I think there are certain people, like when I talk about this, there are people that are already listening who think I'm already a liar because I am natural and I've said I've been natural and I've shown all my progress over the years. So already there are a certain sect of people who listen to me talk and are like, he's a fake natty liar. So I'm already discounted there. But this is the thing, like Christian might very well not be on anything, right? He might very well not be on anything. So what people want is they want him to say he's on something because then it gives them, number one, the mental,
thank God.
It gives them the mental space to be like, oh, so I could have looked like Christian, but it's just I have to hop on and I'm not going to do that. So I like Christian. He's a cool guy. And even Greg Doucette. Greg Doucette has pictures of when he was when he was natural and pictures of when he was enhanced. And Greg Doucette's a great athlete. When he was natural on stage, he looked good. When he was enhanced, he looked better. And now he's on TRT. So because there are big people who are open about being on TRT or being on steroids, people look at that as, well, he's honest, he's noble, and I trust his opinion being on and looking like him, but also admitting that he's on drugs. I trust his opinion. He
keeps it real.
He keeps it real. And these other individuals like myself or Sam Okunola or Jeff Alberts or Alberto Nunez or any of these jacked people who aren't on drugs but look really fucking good, look elite, well, they're lying. There's no way, like, I can't believe, like, there's no fucking way that person can be that big and shredded without having to use drugs. Because look at Greg Doucette. He looks the way he does, and some of these people look almost like him, and he's on drugs. That's the fucking thing. Greg needs that shit to get there. Some of us don't. And because people want to make that correlation, oh, he's on drugs and he looks like this, but he's not, and he looks almost as good. He's a fake natty liar. Genetics are a motherfucker. But the big fucking thing that people need to get through their heads is we're talking about work here. I mentioned that I had Greg Plitt and this guy, Anton Antipov, as my physique goals when I was younger. But I dropped that, and my goal was to attain the best physique that I can attain and the best performance that I can. And instead of comparing myself to every fucking physique, I'm going to do the thing that I can do. And I want people to have that same mindset, because it gets unhealthy when you look at somebody and you're like, I want that. And then when you train over time, you don't look like that. And then you start doing too many things to try to get to that. Get the best that you can do, because again, no matter what your genetics are, if you give yourself a decade of good, hard fucking training, you'll look really good. Whether you're not too genetically gifted for the sport or whether you are, you'll look really good. But you need to put in the fucking work.
It's a lot of work.
Guys, these legendary tasty pastries have changed the game. They're 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of carbs. If you were a kid, and I was a kid that ate Pop-Tarts, those things tasted great. But the difference, man, Andrew, what are the macros on Pop-Tart?
Yes, for a regular Pop-Tart, we're looking at 190 calories, 37 carbs, 16 grams of sugar, and only 2 grams of protein. As comparison to a tasty pastry, we're looking at only 180 calories, 5 net carbs, 0 sugars, and 20 grams of protein.
And this bad boy is gluten-free.
There you go. That's right.
Friendly. And they taste so good. Like, I'm eating it cold. I got here a little bit of coffee.
So good, though.
You guys can warm this up, man.
Yeah.
They have so many flavors on their website, too. You have to check them out, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys got to head over to eatlegendary.com. They have tons of different things. They have almonds, they have butters, they have amazing flavored everything, and everything is all health conscious. Everything has low to no sugar.
They have nut butters.
They have nut butters, and you can't help but smile when you say nut butters. But head over to eatlegendary.com and use promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. I know it sounds like we're overhyping it, but I promise you we are not. You guys have to go try these tasty pastries right now. Yeah, and one thing that I do want to kind of go back to, and you're because of you, I am now more like, oh, did he nailed it?
Yay!
Too easy. Is like the whole like, if he looks better than X person, then he's definitely on. We all look different genetics. What you said about LeBron James was freaking spot on. But that's the stuff that I do want to highlight, because like I don't want my son to grow up and be like, oh well, whatever, if YouTube's still around, influencer is saying like, oh, I won't be able to look as good as this person unless I get on stuff. So I'm just not going to be able to look that good. It's like, well, no, like you can be like Alberto Nunez. Like he's getting even bigger now too. Like, are we just going to be like, oh, he just maxed out his natural potential and he got on? Like, no, like we have some LeBron Jameses of the bodybuilding world.
Yeah.
They just bodybuild though.
It's really rare to see people make a lot of progress. And I think that's why this one in particular is raising eyebrows. Like normally, after you've been training for a decade or so, you don't see as much progress from an individual.
Yeah.
You can see crazy progress, and it can look quite different when somebody just leans out of nowhere. Somebody that has been, maintain, like you're leaning out a little bit, and it makes a big difference in your look because you already have so much muscle mass.
Yeah.
And then maybe we didn't see you like that for a while, and then it's like, holy shit. Even though you've been shredded the whole time, it's just you kind of peeled off like a layer. Or if you went the other direction, if you went to like 270 or 265 or whatever, you said you were 255 not too long ago.
Yeah.
you start to bulk up and we'll go,
holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit in the other direction. In most cases, for most people, especially when people aren't as large, you don't see the big fluctuation in body weight. The bigger that you are, you can have more of a fluctuation in body weight because it represents a smaller percentage of your overall weight. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when we're talking about somebody that has been training for, this is stuff that I've noticed. I see a lot of gains for a lot of people. You got like the first year or two for some people doesn't mean a lot because they're just like figuring stuff out, and sometimes they're really not putting in a hard effort yet because they're like are still learning the gym. They're getting familiar with it, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of times people have like a 5-year time span or so, and that can be extended. There's definitely ways to extend it through nutrition, through like getting more and more into it, and through performance enhancing drugs. You might be able to extend that time out to about 8 years or so. But just from what I've seen people rapidly reach a potential to where you're like, whatever this weight is, whatever your size is now, you're not going to weigh that much more than you do now.
Yeah.
How young were you when you first weighed about what you weigh now?
When I weighed, it's actually on Instagram. I think when I first hit 245 was before my first show, but I was a different body composition then, and my first show was 2014. So I was around 245 at the beginning. I was around 245 around 2013. Mm-hmm. Probably mid 2013. Because when I cut for my first show, I weighed in at 220. That's what I cut for my first show. After that first show, I got up to 265. And then for my second show, I weighed around 230. That was like, not my second show, but I did a lot of shows in between then. My last show at WNBF Worlds, which is, it's a natural federation, drug tested, not drug free, whatever. But I weighed in at 229 on stage, and I had a better body composition. But the first time I weighed 220, I was 16. That was like, I couldn't play soccer for a few years because of Oshkosh Slaughter. So I was 220 at 16, then I dropped some weight because of soccer.
Things are different now. You don't really bodybuild per se. But if you got shredded up, like you would weigh about the same
as
those other numbers.
Yeah. Getting super lean, I'd probably again be around 230 for like bodybuilding stage weight, or maybe 225 to 230. Because
I don't want to discourage people, but I'm just saying like this is some of the truth of training. Like you get to a certain level and then you don't make progress in some of these particular areas, but there's still tons of areas to improve upon.
Yeah.
Like we're always messing around in the gym and we're like laughing and having fun. Like we're acting like little kids in there because we're like, this is so amazing. We get to improve in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. It might not always be your strength. It might not always be your body composition. It might not always be your muscle mass. And to some degree, like I don't really know anybody else, maybe except for the guy on the table here, John Nsima. I don't really know anybody else that has the amount of muscle mass that you have, especially as lean as you are. So like,
I'm a fake Natty liar, Mark.
Well, is this the highest level of genetics? I mean,
I don't think so, dog.
No,
I truly think, like, this is a thing, man. Look at fucking Russ Swole. Russ Swole, I think he had an injury when he was in college. Dog, there are these fuckers in the NFL. If, they're playing football and they're making millions upon millions per year.
They didn't select bodybuilding, yeah.
But if any of these guys just was like, I couldn't make it in terms of the NFL, let me take my hand at powerlifting. Then you have a Russ Swole. Let me take my hand at bodybuilding. Then you have a guy like fucking Ryan Doris or Sam. Ryan doesn't bodybuild anymore, but when Ryan Doris was lean, dog, he was disgusting. But these people, they're fucking athletes. They don't bodybuilding. There's no fucking money, So you got athletes would wreck everybody in this industry. It's just they didn't choose to come to this industry, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And one weird thing that like I continue to get from people is this comment saying, well, if he looks like this natural, if he just started taking drugs, he'd be Mr. Olympia. Motherfucker, I don't want to be that big. I do not want to go to the Olympia stage. I don't want to walk around with my fucking quad cheeks rubbing up against each other and I can barely touch my asshole. That's not desirable for me. I don't like that. So I'm not going to do shit to do that, no matter how enticing people may think it is.
Those are my favorite comments. They're like, well, Nsima, if you're Natty, then you're the top 1% of 1%. All you have to do is get on gear and you're going to win Mr. Olympia. Those are my favorite. But one thing I just kind of want to switch gears a tiny little bit. This was on the Doucette video where he's comparing his previous cut to this year's cut.
Yeah.
And my thing is, it's like, yeah, he does look better over here. There's lighting.
There's way different pictures.
They're two different pictures. But like when you compare like the shoulders, the biceps, everything, like it does, to me, that doesn't seem like it's that like drastic of a change. I might be way off because I'm not that experienced in this realm. But in my opinion, like, yeah, it doesn't, like, I wouldn't scream PEDs looking at these two different pictures.
An interesting thing is just as you get older, your like muscles start to look a little grainier and a little harder. Now I am on PEDs and I have been for a very long time, but I've noticed this not only with myself, but with other friends that I communicate with that work out. They're like, yeah, I stayed about the same body fat-ish. I look kind of the same, but a little vein popped out and I got like a little striation in my tricep or something like that. And it's like, I think that's, quote unquote muscle maturity.
People, like, I think that's one thing. The one on the left looks like it was taken on like a phone, on like a good iPhone. And then the one on the left looks, number one.
On the right.
Right, sorry. Christian looks leaner. He has some different lighting and it looks like it's a HD photo.
Natural sunlight, it looks like.
Yeah, but that muscle maturity thing is a thing. People, like, I've noticed that over more years of training because for the past 5 or 6 years, my weight has been within the same weight, give or so 10 pounds. Like I've been in the 240s, 250s, 240s, 250s. But whenever I cut these days, it's like, damn, like there's different things I notice as I get older. Because I would always see, especially when I was just focused on competing in bodybuilding, and I saw the older bodybuilders, the older natural bodybuilders, I'm like, we have the same body fat percentage, but he looks so fucking dry. Like, why does he look so matured?
Right.
Muscle maturity is real. You know what I mean? And as you train more, you're going to be able to you'll look more dense over time. There won't be the biggest weight fluctuations you had when you're younger. And for Christian, I don't think that's the case. I think in Christian's case, me giving him the benefit of the doubt, I think he managed to hold on to more muscle during this cut because a lot of people, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, when they cut, they first off eat way less food. They do too much cardio. So they lose a lot of body fat, but they also sacrifice a lot of muscle. Whereas, like, we know if you give yourself a little bit more time and you cut in a smarter way, you can hold on to more muscle and still lose a good amount of body fat. So you'll look bigger, even though it's not that you gained muscle, you just held on to muscle. So I think like the whole fucking thing with Greg, and his audience is like loyal and they'll listen to everything he says. It's just like, yeah, he's not. It's just, I think that's kind of stupid. I think it's really fucking dumb.
Yeah, and one of the things that he pointed out was like, oh, he's training with C-Bum, with Chris Bumstead. So you don't think he's gonna, get some pointers or get some extra, little something. But I'm like, I don't know, man. If I bodybuild with like one of the absolute best bodybuilders right now, I think I'll get pretty big. Like I'll get a little bit better, right? Like
it's not just because you're getting growth hormone.
That's what I mean. Like if my training partners get a little bit bigger, like I think I'll get bigger as well.
Yeah.
I just think that's a little short-sighted to be like, oh, he's probably getting. He didn't say he's probably getting gear, but like the way he put it, he was like, you don't think he's gonna ask for it? So I'm like,
Doucette kept harping on the body weight, and I wonder, like, we don't actually know if Christian Guzman is a lot heavier and has the same body fat or a lower body fat percentage.
Yeah.
I would say that if he gained 10 pounds or 15 pounds and is the same or lower body fat percentage, then you would have to ask, like, what changed? You would have to ask that question. What changed? Maybe work slowed down for him. Maybe he feels more comfortable. Maybe he scaled his business and maybe he can train more. Maybe he actually used to have injuries that we don't know. Like, there could be all kinds of circumstances, but Greg definitively kept going to that body weight stuff. And I do think that there could be some answers in there, but body weight isn't the only measure that we have. We saw some videos of him measuring his arms and measuring his shoulders and measuring his waist and stuff like that too. I think I think one of the reasons why Greg is kind of repeatedly talking about the body weight is because there's nothing else that he can point to. There's not like excessive. I'm not seeing excessive amounts of veins. I don't have any stake in this game whatsoever. I don't care one way or the other whether Christian Guzman's on stuff or not. But he doesn't look like, at least for now, he doesn't look crazy. He's got like a couple more weeks before he competes, I guess, right?
You know, one thing that I want to do this real quick, because whenever we have this conversation, I think that people who pay attention to Greg Doucette or watch Derek, they pay attention to certain people on social media, and they don't see other guys who are actually like,
people don't know these natural bodybuilders.
They don't know natural bodybuilders. Andrew, can you look up a guy on Instagram, Kenyon the Third? Because when I think of certain dudes, I think of Salmon Okinola, Kendall Richmond, Russ Swole. I'm talking about a lot of black dudes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon the Third. And I want to say this. It's something that people don't really say when they talk about Natty or Knots, or because they don't say it. But you know, whenever they pull up these dudes, it's like Kenyon the Third. Yeah, he's Natty. He competes in natural bodybuilding. He's been jacked since he was younger. He has pictures of when he was younger. He has amazing fucking genetics.
He's with our boy natural. Wyatt.
He met Theo Vaughn. But, you know, this is a guy who puts in the work, who gets stronger, who, like, he looks insane. He's fucking natural. Damn. People are going to look at him and be like, oh, he's drug tested, not drug free. People are going to do that. That's okay. But I want to show you some natural genetic freaks so that you can have some people to look at and be like, God damn, this is possible for some people. Now, I'm not saying that if everyone trains the way that he trains, that they're gonna look like him, because that's not fucking true. I don't look at bodybuilding. I look at bodybuilding the same way I look at other sports. There's no way most people can train like Usain Bolt and run like Usain Bolt.
Right.
There's no way people can train like Jordan and play like Jordan. There's no way people can train like a fucking Roger Federer and play like Roger Federer. No fucking way. But I guarantee that if you take things about what they do and their consistency, you'll become the best you in whatever the fuck you do. Could you look up again?
He's at Alpha Elite though, so he's getting it from Christian.
Oh yeah, right. He's at Alpha Elite, so he's getting it from Christian. But I wanted to highlight him because like the guys that I know and pay attention to, like they're black dudes, and some people think like, oh, it's BBC genetics. They always pull that out, like black dudes and their genetics. But Kenyon's a white dude, and he looks fucking amazing. And I know I want to believe 100% that this dude is fucking natural. But most people are going to be like, he's on drugs. No, he just has better genetics than you, and he's been at this for a long fucking time. Alberto Nunez. Let's pull up Berto. Like, Berto is someone who doesn't weigh a crazy amount.
Gets shredded. Yeah, that's the other thing with Guzman. I think, you know, he's 180 pounds. He's going to get lighter. Like 180 pounds isn't really heavy.
1999, 2022.
Yeah, and then like on the Guzman video, he lost over an inch on his arms. And I know that's from the bulk, so that's from what did we figure out if it was like a 12-week cut? I don't remember.
I don't know how long the cut is, but the one thing about, you know, when people go on a bulk versus cut, like whenever anybody cuts, the thing is, oh, you look bigger. Did you gain muscle? No. Whenever I cut and I have a tank on, people are like, are you gaining muscle? I'm like, no, I'm losing body fat. I'm lighter. My measurements are smaller. I guess this might be actually one of Alberto's bodybuilders that he's working with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, click on him, because this isn't, again, I want people to pay attention to natural bodybuilders. Because like when you watch Doucette, most people that watch Doucette also, and I don't think it's a bad idea to watch C-Bum and all these other athletes. It's good. But like when people see high-level natural bodybuilders, they automatically are like, oh, these guys are just taking drugs on the DL. And that's not true. You know, that's not true. So it's necessary for people to understand that these physiques are possible with the work and the genetic side too. Okay?
Look at DK Metcalf when we talked about him a bunch of different times and his diet and everything, and he's just fucking shredded.
Don't compare yourself to DK Metcalf.
It's not a good idea.
Just don't fucking do it.
You're gonna lose.
Yeah, you know, like one thing is too. It's like I'm using just high level athletes as a reference, but LeBron had a talent for football and athleticism from when the time he was younger, so he stuck with it. A lot of these athletes that are on these natural bodybuilding stages have been lifting and have been doing sports for a really long time. And part of the reason why they stuck with it, we talked about it with the James Smith video,
is because, oh, I'm gaining muscle, I look good. Let me stick with this, okay? There are two factors. One factor is most people haven't been at it for that long. Most people start doing this when they turn 16, 17, 18, and that's good. You know, you need time. But the second aspect is some people do it for a little bit and they don't see their talent or the results, and so they're kind of halfway in, halfway out. They work out a little bit, but they don't work out a lot, and then they still compare themselves to the people who have been at it for a long ass fucking time. So it's like, you know, again, with the things that I think that people should pay attention to people's messages. Is this person here telling me that I can take testosterone or this supplement and I'll gain all this muscle and this is the key? Or are they putting forward good training principles, good nutrition principles, things that are free that I can literally just do on my own? Are they giving me advice that's truly going to help me get the results I want to get? Because, you know, you can look at some people and be like, yeah, this is my whole supplement stack and all they talk about is supplements. But what are they actually telling you that's going to help you get better? Can you do those things? Fucking Russ Swell, I love him because he's been at this. He grinds. He shows his grind all the time. His whole thing's get better today. And he just talks about what he does over and over and over. Then he's encouraging people. And yeah, he's sponsored by a brand, but he's not just he's not like just these supplements got me this.
Right.
No, there's some people that are doing that shit, and that's not right. So take the message, be consistent, do the work, and attain the best that you can. Like Elliot Hulse used to say in the past, become the strongest version of yourself.
Yeah, and so another thing that Derek and Greg were pointing out was that like how busy Christian Guzman is.
Yeah,
and this is you know, something that that Christian has built like on himself, like because he does vlogs, so he's gonna be more animated. He's gonna be like, oh my god, so busy, whatever it takes, you know, like to get people to watch, and he does an amazing job on his YouTube channel. But to that, I'm just like, well, we don't actually know how busy he is. Let's just all assume that he is as busy as he explains, because he has multiple companies, all very successful. All he has his foot in all of them, right? It's not like his name on a brand and then somebody else takes care of it. It on the surface appears like he does it all. What you said, like with like LeBron James, like how many LeBron James are there? There's one. I'm not going to say he is like the only one that ever do it, but I will say he is better than a lot of us.
And he's a billionaire, and he has businesses, and he's training.
So I don't think it's too far-fetched just to be like, to tip your hat and be like, dude, I don't know how you're doing it, but you are doing it. Instead of, obviously he's cheating, he's lying, because I can't do all of the above. So he's definitely on a little extra something, because no way naturally you would be able to do that.
I think you're a prime example of this shit. Do you stop working out when your business gets crazy?
No, never.
I mean, people are going to say, oh, Mark, whatever. But like I've never seen you not hit the gym. No matter,
I work
you
out
started
almost
within
every day.
you.
Yeah.
You started your supplement brand. You're doing all these different projects with Smelly's Kitchen, podcast, all these other fucking side things that are just bringing you money. But do you stop working out because you're really busy?
No, never. I always keep it. I always keep it moving. You know, I think something else that's missed in all this. I mean, obviously, like the hard work is always going to be a major factor in everything. But like, what is the catalyst of work? The catalyst of work is confidence and just feeling good about something. And so, if you think about like superhero movies, you know, and you think about the moment that you see the superhero kind of discovering his like superpower. Imagine being a young kid. Imagine being, I think they said LeBron was like, his mom was like, he was dunking when he was like 2 or 3 on a small basketball.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Baby LeBron on a 10.
No, but like, so a babe, like Andrew knows this, babies don't, it sounds sound funny, babies don't jump. They don't jump. They can barely walk. Like they just learn to crawl.
They can step down and fall.
They just learn to walk and they can fall. So they don't jump. But his mom was like, I noticed it was really weird. He was only about 2 and he started dunking on this little basketball, you know, little basketball hoop they had, like, and he would just throw the ball. And I think he had some brothers and sisters or something. They would just throw the ball.
The chosen one.
But he fucking jumped and she was like, that's weird. My point being is that if you discover a superpower where you can just eviscerate other people in sports, And you're like, oh, wow, like I'm 6 inches taller than my friends. Oh, wow, I'm way fucking faster than my friends. Oh, my God, I have way more muscle than my... Every time you do anything with them, you kill everybody.
Who was that guy you played football with when you were in college?
Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
You were talking about how he just moved differently from everybody.
Oh, he was so fucking fast, it was ridiculous. Yeah, he ran, I don't even know what 40 time he ran. But no one could hang with him at all.
It's because of the trend.
It's
Right.
It's because of the trend. And I've seen high level athletes like that before, but imagine having that when you're a kid, and imagine, what happens when you do that. Like, it doesn't go unnoticed. A coach sees it, a parent sees it. They go, oh my God, you know that you're really something special. Have you talked to Coach so-and-so is going to crap his pants when he sees that you can dunk and you're only 11 years old or whatever the hell it is. Mm-hmm. And then it sets off you to go in a direction and for you to do things that no one's ever seen before. And so some of these people that we are, like some of the people you see on social media or some of these famous people that we see, sometimes they are off on a rocket ship that, they're reaching levels and heights that some other people can only dream of. It still doesn't wreck your hopes and dreams. It still doesn't mean that your rocket ship can't fucking reach Mars or wherever the hell it is you're trying to go. You can still do it. It doesn't mean that it's taking something away from you because this guy's getting recognition for being jacked, or because this guy's or because you've heard this guy got jacked this way. It doesn't mean that you have to do it the same way. DK Metcalf going back and forth with Shannon Sharp, he was like, I'm going to show people a different way. And Shannon Sharp was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, my way. I'm going to do it my way. And it's like, whoa, okay, that's a pretty big statement, but I think all of us should think that way. I'm going to show people a different way of doing this. I'm going to do this. John Cena did it when he went to WWE. He cleaned up that entire fucking locker room. There was people dying left and right, literally people dying left and right from drug overdoses. John Cena took a straighter path. I don't know what he's done or doesn't do personally, but I am a friend of his and he's somebody that I back and support. He came in straight-laced, straight-edged. Hey, where are you going tonight? To the hotel. You're not going to go out with the guys. You're not going to. No, I'm going to the hotel. And then, oh yeah. What are you doing in the morning? Going to the gym. Every day. Boom, gym, hotel, fly, over and over and over again. All these people talking shit about him every single day. People fucking throwing his bag in the garbage, and people fucking with him and moving his shit around and just keeping his mouth shut, going every single day. All right, yeah, I'll do this rapping gimmick. Okay, you know what the motherfucker did? He bought every single basketball jersey you can possibly think of, and he would wear the Celtics, and he would wear the Lakers, and it just depended on what city he was in. If he's here in Sacramento, he's wearing a Sacramento Kings jersey coming to the ring with his baseball cap fucking sideways and his baggy jorts when he spent his entire fucking life working his legs. Motherfucker's got massive giant quads that he's been working on in bodybuilding. He could have been like, no, dude, I'm not going out in a baggy shirt and I'm not baggy shorts. Like, I got one of the best bodies in this business. Let me show this shit off. No, he just did his job, kept his mouth shut, and just kept everything cranking. But he showed people that there's a different way of doing things.
When I look at somebody like Jordan, when we look at Michael Jordan had an ability to jump that it's just
still
different.
Weird, yeah.
It's like you see him jump and fly, and he literally looks like he's flying through the air. But what have people done in the realm of sport? They've been like, how does Jordan move? Even though he has these gifts, these athletic gifts, like LeBron had this ability to dunk on a little hoop when he was younger, they look at Jordan like, okay, what is it that's allowing him to do that? And how can we take that and replicate it? Ben Patrick has done a great job of helping people to train their knees and do certain things that he's had an amazing jumping transformation. And a lot of people that he's worked with and NBA players that work with him also have amazing jumping transformations. But what did it come from? It came from looking at what somebody was able to do just by existing. And I'm not saying Jordan didn't train. Jordan trained his ass off way harder than anybody else. But there are certain attributes that maybe he had that certain people needed to train to have a piece of. Not that attribute, but if they did certain things, deep range of motion with certain movements, hip flexor training, they could attain a little bit of flight that Jordan was able to have. So certain people will look at Jordan and be like, there's no fucking way I can jump and whatever. But certain people will look at that level of talent and break it down and analyze it and say, how can I take some of that? So what I'm saying here is I look at really dope people that are doing really wild shit that looks like it's impossible. And I think to myself, what the fuck are they doing and how can I take a piece of that? But what most people do, especially within this realm of fitness and bodybuilding, is like, trend. That's the knee-jerk reaction. And I get it. I ain't gonna try to convince anybody of anything. You believe me, whatever. You don't, I don't care. But what I want you to do is ignore me. But if there are people that are doing really cool shit, instead of saying that's fake and they're on drugs and they're lying to people, why don't you look at what they're doing? Why don't you try to take a piece of that? Because I'm going to tell you this. If you can take something of what they're doing, that's not trend. If you can take some of what they're doing every single day, because everybody talks about Mike O'Hearn, people say he's on drugs, but the people that know Mike know that he's been at Gold's Gym at 5 a.m. for years. Like Mike has been at this game and he's in his 50s and he's still out doing guys that were on bodybuilding stages in the 90s, right? So what aspect can you take from him? And people are going to hate me for saying this, but the fucking consistency that man has had for years. The smart training, because he doesn't seem to really get injured that much.
You bring up an amazing point, because you're not going to know either way. So how does it serve you? Like how can you utilize this information of natty or not type stuff to have a purpose or serve you? Christian Guzman's a really hard worker.
A fucking hard worker.
I wonder what his day looks like. I wonder if he has any blogs or vlogs talking about that stuff. Rather than let me go on Reddit and let me see. I'm going to find out. And I bet you that somebody has been to his house and they saw growth hormone vials in his refrigerator or whatever. That's instead where our mind goes to. But like, why not try to see like what has the guy done? Oh, he started out lifting when he was really young. Oh my God, look at even when he was 19, he was pretty jacked. And then someone's like, well, he was probably on some shit back then, right?
Man.
Just try to follow some of these people with their habits and try to see, like, I don't think it does us any good to get all mad or worked up on whether someone's like on shit or not.
So we can go around and say our final verdict, natty or not. I'm going to 100% go with he's definitely not natty anymore.
If Christian comes out with a video and says, so I've been on something.
This is how we cover our ass for all the shit we just got done talking.
But this is the thing. Christian hasn't said. If Christian is, and if he did decide, I don't care.
No.
But for the time being, he hasn't said anything. And from his videos, he's done his measurements. So I'm thinking like he's probably saying like he's not. I mean, like he's not on drugs.
Yeah.
And I believe him. And I believe him.
And that's what Derek was saying, that he's like foreshadowing. He's saying like my anabolic transformation, and he's not coming out saying that he's not, on stuff. And like, so honestly, like after like Derek made a really good argument, like, and he kind of made me think. And then I watched I looked at some of the pictures and I'm just like, man, I don't like, yeah, he looks amazing. Like he's always looked amazing, but I don't think it just doesn't, like I said, it doesn't scream to me like, oh, definitely PEDs.
Yeah. And when I look at this, I'm going to say this with him, if he ends up being on something, either way, like I know what can be done with consistent training. Right. So it doesn't change my opinion on him. It doesn't change that. It's just like now he is on something and he said he's on something. Cool. But I don't think that if he does end up being on something, I don't think people should be like, you see, his physique is not naturally attainable, because again, we just pulled up a few people who have better physiques than Christian Guzman, and they're natural. So let's just understand, like, it's a possible thing for people.
Yeah, his clothes aren't gonna look worse. His gym isn't gonna be any less awesome. Like it's still gonna be all like some of the coolest shit in fitness.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is we're talking about like 10, 15 pounds, which I know can be a lot, but it's not that much weight, and he still doesn't even, in my opinion, he still doesn't really weigh that much. Being 180 pounds and being solid muscle, that is a fucking pretty big person. But there's a lot of people that are 200 plus and so on, right? there's a lot bigger monsters. But I'm just saying, like, even if steroids are at play, that's an interesting thing that's what they do. They might give you a 10-pound edge. it might give you a 15-pound edge. Then what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't have the discipline, you don't have the other things behind you, you don't have the consistency, you'll find yourself in the same trap that you always found yourself in if you never develop those habits.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way to kind of look at some of this stuff is don't allow any of this one way or the other to discourage or encourage you one way or the other. Just learn about like how can I get better?
Yes.
How can I fucking improve? What's the information? Does the information that Mike Israetel is a bodybuilder? Does the information that Mike Israetel, is it only with guys that are on PEDs, the 9 sets that he recommends, where to take your reps and sets to, the intensity? No, it's information for everybody. He might have an opinion in particular on how someone who's natural should train versus somebody who's on some stuff should train. But again, don't allow this to deter you or discourage you one way or the other. You can have an opinion about it and you can be fired up or animated one way or the other, but still get in the gym and still train your fucking face off. Andrew, take us on out of here, buddy.
That was so well said. Both of you guys, fucking awesome podcast, guys. Let us know down in the comments. Just go ahead and sound off, natty or not. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Yeah. And please make sure you guys like today's video so that way more people can talk shit in the comments with you. And subscribe if you guys are not subscribed. And please follow the podcast at MBPowerProject on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. My Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima with the dopest shirt I've ever seen. Where can people find you?
Guys, if you want the shirt, it'll be out soon.
Yeah,
we'll let you know eventually. But join our Discord community. The link is in the description. If you want to follow, at Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, at Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. And please follow Berto, follow Jeff, follow all those people from 3DMJ and some of the people that I mentioned, because I think a lot of these natural bodybuilders, and people need to see them more. Mark.
I just got off of Reddit on my phone, and apparently Christian Guzman is on steroids. So
there you go.
That's all the confirmation that we need. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.
If Reddit said so, then
it's the truth.
Yeah.
What's that calculator you're talking